My face is quivering. I can hardly talk. My hands are shaking like this. My legs are also shaking. I walk out of the water and I'm still shivering. I'm going to the warm water. I'm shivering. I can hardly talk and I'm shaking. I'm thinking, if I do this for 2 minutes, I'm gonna be alive.
So Greg responded to the video I made about him, and not only did he resort to strawman fallacy after strawman fallacy, he entirely ignores very important parts of my video to fit his narrative. Let's get into it.
The rise and fall of Hussein Farhat. Let's now watch the video.
This is Hussein Farhat, a pathological liar who was recently blown up on the internet for his absolutely insane physique.
Right off the bat, a banger, a mic drop. Hussein Farhat is a pathological liar. But now what you need to do is watch the rest of the video to see what he's a pathological liar about. A pathological liar...
Our 4D chess player, everyone. Greg was 5 moves ahead and saw everything coming, yet he couldn't see all the syllables in the word pathological.
What he's a pathological liar about.
Hussein lies to his young audience of millions by claiming that he achieved this physique quote-unquote naturally within only 3 years.
And so the main lie is that he was natural in that transformation of which he put on close to 60 pounds. In under 3 years. I mean, does that make any logical sense? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it sounds like the type of thing that only 1 in a million people could do.
So Greg's main argument in this entire video is that Hussein Farhat has 1 in a million genetics, a statistic he entirely pulled out of his ass. Tell me, does this look like the starting physique of someone with 1 in a million genetics? If he truly had 1 in a million genetics, then at 19 years of age, after going through the entirety of puberty, he'd at least have some muscular definition on his body. You know who actually has 1 in a million genetics? Jeff Seed. Look at the guy at age 13. His body just began producing testosterone, and look at the muscle he already has. And then compare him to Hussein Farhat at age 19 at the end of puberty, who has 0 muscular definition. Yet Hussein correctly states that Jeff Seed hopped on PEDs, but his own incredible, unbelievable transformation, which happened in a shorter time frame, is totally natural. By the way, I know that we say that this is Hussein Farhat's 3-year transformation, but he's pretty much been the same size for over a year now. So this is actually more like his 2-year transformation in terms of muscle mass added. Let me give you some examples. This is a picture of Hussein roughly a year ago, and this is a picture of Hussein at the start of this month. The guy looks like he didn't put on any muscle. And on top of that, this is a picture he also posted a year ago, and this is the exact same picture he posted 1 year later. If Mr. 1 in a million genetics made this many gains in 1.5 years, why is he still around the same size that he was a year ago, to the point he can literally just recycle pictures from a year ago on his feed now? Why hasn't Mr. 1 in a million genetics made any tangible gains in over a year and a half? As far as I know, people that are natural don't start plateauing gains wise until at least 5 years into training. Again, sounds like someone who has hopped off cycle for over a year and has been maintaining it ever since. Kind of adds up with the exact point in time that he passed Greg's drug test 9 months ago too, doesn't it? Matter of fact, let's play a little game I like to call how many months of training are between these two pictures. So this is a video Hussein posted for the first time 7 days ago, okay? And here is another video of Hussein. Compare his 2 physiques in these pictures and then try to guess how many months separate them. Keep in mind, he has only been training for about 3.5 years. I'll give you some time to think. If you guessed 20 months, you are correct. This video was posted September 10th, 2023 when he was a year and a half into training. And this video was posted May 7th, 2025. So Mr. 1 in a million made pretty much all his gains in the first year and a half of training, and for the year and a half after, he struggled to put on any meaningful amount of size. Seems fishy, doesn't it? Looks like his 1 in a million genetics just stopped working after a year and a half. And lastly, of his first year and a half where he made all of his gains, the first 8 months were spent training in his garage with just a couple of dumbbells and a ladder with a stick for pull-up. To everyone in my comments that still thinks he's natty, just know that this guy is playing you all for fools. A little side note, it just so appears that every single HTLT athlete happens to be natural. Meet Zoe Madison, an ambassador of Greg's supplement brand who is an 18-year-old bodybuilder. This is what Zoe looks like. 100% natural, might I add, just as Greg said in the caption. Must be another instance of 1 in a gazillion genetics, huh? I'll just let this sink in for a couple of seconds. Greg says this 18-year-old ambassador of his supplement brand is natural. Have you all taken it in? Okay, let's move on.
Hard to do that transformation. 1 in a million.
And this is cookbook salesman and IFBB pro Greg Doucette, who has been helping Hussein perpetuate this lie for his own gain.
And so I had to make a video saying he was natural because in the blood work, it showed that he was natural. I didn't want to lie to my audience. I mean, I thought he was a fake natty. I looked at his physique and said, there's no way, 1 in a million chance. And then I got the blood work and I said 1 in a million. But This guy, he proves that he was actually not 1 in a million.
Greg, throughout this entire video, you just completely missed the point over and over again. The entire point is that you were incredibly skeptical of this guy being natural, but then when a singular blood test was sent to you, you just immediately rolled over and said, oh well, guess Hussein is natural. The reason this is a problem is because you've been the guy that's been saying for years now that in many cases a singular blood test cannot be taken as conclusive evidence. If there is anyone this logic should apply to, it's Hussein Farhad, whose transformation has you so stumped that you claim that he has 1 in a Gregillion genetics. Let me refer all of you again to Matt This Fitness, who had such a crazy transformation that Greg demanded third-party randomized drug testing over a time period of months before he would even entertain the thought of Matt being natural. By the way, in this entire 30-minute response video, Greg didn't even respond or react to this part of my original video, which literally constitutes one of the major points that I was making. He knew there was absolutely no way he could talk himself out of that part of my video, so he simply decided not to include it in his video at all. You will see that a major recurring theme in Greg's response video is that Greg cherry picks parts of my video and conveniently leaves out other major parts just because they don't fit his narrative. In this video, I'll be explaining how and why Greg went from calling Hussein out on being a fake natty to helping him lie to everyone about being natural and even making him a co-owner of Greg's own supplement company in the process.
And so clearly what happened is I lied, covered up his lie, put him as co-owner as part of my HTLT company in order to make millions and millions of dollars. And it worked until today.
Yeah. Pretty much. He also talks about how Hussein didn't gain a single fat cell while putting on 60 pounds of lean contractile tissue. This goes far beyond any body recomposition that any new lifter in the gym can pull off.
Yeah, it's like only 1 in a million could do it. It's weird. It's like only 1 in a million could do it. It's as if all the stuff that Greg said is actually accurate and that it's extremely rare. Like hardly anyone could do it. Like 1 in a million maybe.
This is me 3 years ago at 132 pounds and around 13% body fat. And this is me 3 years later at 183 pounds, but also at a much higher body fat percentage of about 18%.
And so this guy who made the video, he was only able to put on 50 pounds while increasing his body fat, while Hussein Farhad put on 60 pounds while decreasing his body fat. And so Hussein improved even more than he did. And so it's impossible. And so he wins. Hussein Farhad probably put on 10 or 15 pounds more muscle than this guy. No one could do that. He wins. I mean, the video could end right here, right? I mean, he just proved that Hussein Farhad is not natural because he put on more muscle than this guy. I mean, this guy has the best genetics in the world. No one could put on more muscle than this guy. And so anyone that puts on more muscle than him clearly is a fake natty.
Now this has to be the most shameless straw man I've ever seen this guy construct. He completely misrepresents my point to make it seem like I'm saying that no one can have better genetics than me and no one can make more progress than me. He's trying to paint me as being jealous, when this was not at all the point I was making. Now, you may be forgiven for thinking that was the point I was making if you've only seen Greg's video, because he conveniently cuts out all that I said right before showing my physique and all that I said right after. Let me show you how Greg cut this clip, and then let me show you the actual full clip for my video.
1 in a million.
This is me 3 years ago at 132 pounds and around 13% body fat. And this is me 3 years later at 183 pounds, but also at a much higher body fat percentage of about 18%.
And so this guy...
Take for example me. This is me 3 years ago at 132 pounds and around 13% body fat. And this is me 3 years later at 183 pounds, but also at a much higher body fat percentage of about 18%. I put on a good amount of muscle, but to do so, I also had to put on some fat because I'm not on performance enhancing drugs. The reason I showed my own physique transformation is to show that when you're natural and you want to put on a significant amount of muscle mass on your body, you have to eat in a caloric surplus and you will gain some fat. Now, of course, depending on your genetics, you may put on a very little amount of fat or you may put on a significant amount of fat. But Hussein didn't even put on a little bit of fat. As a matter of fact, he got significantly leaner. The point I was making by showing my physique isn't to say, oh, I made far less progress than Hussein and I have amazing genetics, so he must be on juice. No, the point was to show that when you want to build a lot of muscle, you'll be putting on at least a tiny bit of fat too. I could have shown any natural physique transformation where someone put on size before cutting, but obviously my own transformation was simply the most convenient for me to pick, instead of scouring the internet for some random guy. I've never claimed to have amazing genetics. Matter of fact, I've literally said in my videos before that my genetics are simply not terrible. To give you a frame of reference, I have also been training consistently for 3 years with not so terrible genetics. There are plenty upon plenty of people out there with much better genetics than me. I have absolutely zero issue with saying that. This whole thing isn't about ego to me. This is about educating educating young people and people that are new to the industry in general about what is possible naturally so they don't set unrealistic expectations because of fake natties. Yet you cut out the entire part of me explaining this and just show the part of me actually showing my physique so you can frame this as being a jealousy thing. Hussein did the exact same thing in his video, which he undoubtedly coordinated with Greg. Greg and Hussein being more disingenuous than last time.
I think I have to change my mind. I think that this isn't a mic drop. I think it's possible still, now that I think about it, that Hussein is still 1 in a million and put on even more muscle than this guy. I mean, I thought he was a fake natty because Hussein put on 60 pounds, this guy only put on 50. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's possible that someone's even better than you, even though you're really good.
Greg just keeps attacking the straw man. This wasn't at all the argument that I was making.
I mean, I thought he was a fake natty because Hussein put on 60 pounds, this guy only put on 50. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's possible that someone's even better than you, even though you're really good. Like, he put on 50 pounds, it's ridiculous. Like, it's sus. Like, even him, he might be natty.
I appreciate the compliment, Greg. You almost managed to woo me over to your side there. Yeah, I put on 50 pounds, but at least 15 pounds of that has to have been fat. Take into account an additional 5 to 10 pounds of water weight, an increase in bone density and whatnot, and you're left with around 25 pounds of pure muscle.
Like, it's sus. Like, even him, he might be natty. But it's possible someone has even better genetics than him.
Strawman fallacy.
It's very obvious. It's as if he put 17 years of training in only a matter of 17 months. To me, this is indicative of a guy who is using performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I just said it. It's indicative of somebody who's using performance-enhancing drugs. It indicates it. It suggests it. Unless you had, like, I don't know, what was that number again? 1 in a million odds.
Hussein tries to play it off as if he made 17 years worth of gains in only 17 months. It's quite frankly insulting that he even tries to lie about being natural. Yes, it's insulting that he would even try about being natural. I mean, unless he's a 1 in a millionaire, because like, I'm a 1.8%er. Did you guys know I was a commander? Hussein is also a commander, but on top of that, he's a 1 in a millionaire. I also feel like I'm a 1 in a millionaire. I have a freaking IBM Pro card. I'm a 49-year-old manlet, and you're all watching me right now. Did you all know that? Everyone watching me right now is watching me right now. You like this? What are the odds that you would watch Coach Greg on a cruise ship in the dark talking about if Hussein Farhat is Farhatting his hat? It's Coach Greg after hours.
We all love it.
We like Coach Greg after hours.
I dig it.
The deep voice Coach Greg.
It goes hard.
It goes real hard. As hard as I'm gonna go at you tonight.
What is it?
What is this guy yapping about, bro? What have you been getting up to on this cruise, Gregory? Did Togi happen to put you onto some Schneefer goober? Have you been playing in the snow, Greg? Have you gone skiing? Indulged in some booger sugar? What's going on with this guy?
I personally don't believe it. Even with steroids, this kind of transformation, this kind of physique is very rare.
Do you all agree with me? It's very unbelievable, seeing as only 1 in how much?
A million.
A million could do it. And so, if you're a betting man, you're taking the odds. 1 in a million chance. But do you know what is a great bet to take right now? If Hussein Farhat fails a drug test, you get $100,000.
Greg and Hussein keep saying, simply pay for a drug test, and if I fail, I'll give you $100,000. Again, missing a major point in my video. In my video, I stated that a singular bit of blood work can always be cheated, like Greg has said before 1,000 times. The only reliable method is to regularly drug test over the course of at least half a year, which would have to include WADA tests, hair follicle tests, etc., and to then monitor the physique to see if he had lost any size or strength. This would cost far more than $1,000, and a neutral, knowledgeable third party would have to oversee and analyze everything. The people watching Greg's video wouldn't know this though, because arguably the most important part of my original video, when I explained that Matt Does Fitness had way more stringent drug testing than Hussein and Greg was still skeptical of him, Greg decided to leave out of his video, simply so he could continue saying just pay for a drug test. We're challenging you. See how dishonest this guy is in his response. Just a 30-minute long video full of cherry picking and straw man arguments. By the way, for those wondering, I did get in contact with Connor Sinan over him possibly funding all of this, and I laid out some stipulations that would have to be followed, and he said he would go ask a neutral third party. He hasn't gotten back in contact with me since though.
But y'all know why I wrote that comment, right? I wanted to go viral. 4D chess with all of you. I want people to accuse Hussein of being a fake natty. I want you to accuse me. I want all the accusations.
So now we've come to the 4D chess part of the video, where Greg tries to convince us he geniusly orchestrated all of this, just so this would go absolutely ballistic and he would gain even more exposure. That's why he insinuated that he could sue me. He put out a bait and we all fell for it. Greg truly got us there. He's 10 steps ahead. He most definitely didn't just try to intimidate a small YouTuber to get him to back off, and then accidentally Streisanded this entire situation and has to save face by claiming this was all part of a major master plan. You know what, let's just listen to what Greg himself had to say in a video he posted 4 years ago.
Jeffrey made a video about my coaching plans, my coaching practices, and whatever, stuff about my coaching. Some of my staff had watched it, and I was told, Greg, don't watch this video. Just don't watch it. Don't comment. We know you. We know how you get. You're going to go in and write in the comment section and call him a mosquito, and you're going to do some kind of a video response, and you're going to look bad. Just stop and don't do anything. We'll take care of it.
Should have let your staff take care of this situation as well, Greg. It is simply not achievable naturally and definitely not in only 3 years.
I said it's very rare. Him saying not achievable natural. 1 in a...
A million.
1 in a million.
I feel like the true victim of this entire scenario just has to be Greg's girlfriend. She simply wants to enjoy her vacation on a cruise ship, yet has to sit in their room listening to Greg scream 1 in a million for 30 minutes on end. I genuinely believe Hussein didn't try training Natty for a single day and that he started juicing from day one. He literally says that before he started working out, he put off starting his gym journey because he knew it was going to be a long process and didn't want to wait. This is why he ended up taking a shortcut.
That is the biggest stretch I've ever seen in my life.
Is it though? Is it that big of a stretch to conclude that the guy who said he postponed his gym journey for a long time because he knew it was going to take a while to put on size, hopped on gear so he didn't have to wait a long time to put on size? Seems like a fairly logical conclusion to me.
Jesse, you say he's natural as a teenager? The reason Jesse was natural as a teenager is he thinks he's natural as a teenager right now. Last time you don't get your natural as a teenager. You don't get your natural as a teenager. You suddenly peak as a teenager. And then every year you lose muscle. It's you have something back then. Now, if Hussein Farhat suddenly lost muscle, if he's 184 right now, and next year he's 164 pounds, the same like that, he's saying, whoa, how do you lose all that muscle? That would indicate, bro, he's not natural.
So right here in this part of the video, I give an example of how outlandish Hussein's natty claim is when he correctly identifies Jeff Seed as a fake natty, but his own 3 years transformation is at least as impressive as Jeff's 7-year transformation. However, Greg just ignores this comparison because it would make him look silly and instead goes on a long tirade of why Jeff Seed is not natty. We know Jeff is not natty, Greg. Explain to us why Hussein made comparable if not more impressive gains in 3 years than Jeff did in 7 years, when Jeff has better genetics and was juiced up. Notice how yet again Greg leaves out a crucial part of the video because it doesn't fit his narrative. Correctly calling David Lade a fake natty, but insisting that his own physique transformation was done naturally when his is more impressive than what David Lade was able to do in that time frame is just so shameless.
Yeah, but the difference is David Lade literally admitted that he's taking peptides. And he also put on, I think it was 80 pounds on his bench press when he was a teenager. And he's weaker now in his 20s than he was in his teens. And so, since when do teenagers get stronger and peak as teens and get weaker into their 20s? And so, if David Lade had continued to get bigger, put on more muscle and get bigger, well, you'd say, hey, he's just perhaps 1 in a million.
Yet Hussein has struggled to put on any size in the last year and a half. How did he seemingly peak only 1.5 years into training? Your argument here can be used against you, Greg. So that's it, right? Hussein milled Greg's blood work, Greg analyzed it, and it all checked out. Hussein is 100% natty. Wrong.
Why does he say wrong? When I made that video, I said Hussein is natural right now. At least for the 3 months prior to that, we know he was natural because if he wasn't, it would have been proven in his blood work. Now, does that mean he couldn't have been on steroids when he was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21? Nope, it doesn't prove any of that. And so, is it in fact possible that Hussein Farhat went on steroids the first day he joined the gym and stopped at least 3 months before doing the blood work? Absolutely, of course it's possible.
Notice Greg backpedaling. He's getting nervous and so is now stating there absolutely is a chance Hussein was on steroids prior. Then why definitively say that Hussein is natty, Greg? Losing your natty card is like losing your virginity. Once it's gone, it's gone. You simply can't become natty again by hopping off gear. You say yourself that there's a chance Hussein could have been on steroids prior, but then in the same video you go for the statistically far less likely explanation that he has 1 in a million genetics.
Did I not say anyone can come test him at any time? And why do you think I told him to do drug-tested competition? He could have entered a non-tested competition. Then what do you have all said? Oh, notice, he enters a non-tested show. Why do you think that is? Because he hopped on. And so he enters a drug-tested bodybuilding competition.
So if you've seen my last video, you will know that this quote-unquote drug-tested competition was not drug-tested at all. Hussein and Greg know this. Hussein even admitted this on a podcast in a clip that has recently resurfaced. Yet they continue slinging the word drug-tested competition around to manipulate their audience by implying that Hussein got drug-tested. This is a complete and total lie. By the way, I've since gotten a DM from someone that was in the top 5 at that show, and not even they got tested. So no one in this show got tested. Do you see how dishonest and disingenuous Greg and Hussein are? If people that competed in the same show hadn't come out to reveal that there were no drug tests, and the clip of Hussein on the podcast saying he didn't get drug tested didn't resurface, he'd still be telling his audience, but I entered a drug tested competition. I'm natty. As Greg would say, consider this. Greg was the one that told Hussein to compete. Greg was Hussein's coach for the competition. Greg is a well-established Canadian IFBB pro and a former bodybuilding show judge. If anyone would know which competitions actually tested and which didn't, it would be Greg. Also, a second point, notice how this challenge that Greg is putting up is a challenge for a singular blood test. This is why he completely ignored the part in my video where I said the only proof for natty status is at least half a year of regular randomized WADA grade drug testing. This costs far more than $1,000, but he ignores this and poses a bogus challenge for a singular blood test. One that, again, not trying to sound like a broken record here, but Greg has said 1,000 times before that a singular blood test cannot be taken as evidence for anything. Now, I've seen Connor Sinan's comment on my video and I reached out to him right after I saw it. We talked extensively and I agreed with Connor to let him fund the drug testing, so these are my stipulations. It would have to be a WADA grade drug test at least once a month, maybe once every 2 weeks, for at least 6 months straight. A hair follicle test would also be taken on the very first and very last day of testing. 1 rep maxes will be tested in the gym on the first and last day of testing with a neutral third party in a public gym to ensure that the weights are actually real. A neutral third party that actually is knowledgeable in all of this would have to supervise everything. When all the results come in, you live stream yourself opening the results on the portal for the first time immediately to rule out any possibility of edits being made. I would then fly out to Montreal for the last drug test to be the one to supervise all of Hussein's 1 rep maxes in the gym and all of his testing. Hussein and Connor, these are my stipulations. Put your money where your mouth is and let's do this.